Hello, I'm Aliхан Tokaev, a 10th grader of secondary school gymnasium number 16 in the city of Taldыкорган. My biology teacher is Людмила Lim. The topic of my presentation, plastic addiction. Since the very beginning of his existence, man has been using different materials to make tools and household items. Our ancestors used for these purposes exclusively what was created by the hands of nature, wood, stones, and metals. Most importantly, all this decomposed without significant harm to the environment. More recently, by historical standards, namely at the end of the 19th, beginning of the 20th century, scientists learned to synthesize plastics, namely polyvinyl chloride, polyethylene, polypropylene, nylon and their other types. I think you know about the widespread use of plastic. It's used to make hygiene items, toothbrushes, wash sponges, sanitary pads, devices, smartphones, computers, and food packaging. Yes, most types of plastic don't decompose completely, only disintegrate into small particles. But glass doesn't decompose at all, and the kraft paper used for paper bags requires primary wood, that is cellulose. So why do people dislike this universal material so much? The fact that paper completely decomposes in a short period, about 2 months, without releasing any pollutants. The consequence of millions of years of glass decomposition are the shards, which can hurt yourself. Plastic decomposes from 200 to 1000 years, and all this is accompanied by release into the water, soil, and atmosphere of such toxic substances as phenol, formaldehyde, dioxin, methane. As a result, they end up in the vegetables and fruits we eat every day. Millions of birds, fish, and other animals die because they eat plastic, imprisoned in the feathers of plastic residue, and global warming is accelerated by the release of greenhouse gases. As for recycling plastic, unfortunately, the main types of plastic can be recycled about 5 times, as their properties deteriorate with every time. However, scientists have already found a way out, namely infinitely recyclable PDK plastic. To solve the problem, it's necessary to eradicate its causes and not its consequences, namely the lack of sorting and recycling systems in many cities of the Republic, wasteful attitude to disposable plastic containers, and lack of any form of punishment. What about reusable plastic? If plastic is convenient and cost-effective, then why abandon it completely? There are certain types of this material that can be used repeatedly by cleaning them regularly, and some are even heat-resistant. Most importantly, they don't require replacement for a long time. From containers and utensils to windows and appliances components are and will be made of it. We approach the virtues of plastics that make them a useful and safe material. First, products made from them are much lighter and take up much less space than metal and glass, the basic materials of the past. Packaging, as a consequence, has become much simpler and smaller. Taken together, these factors lead to savings both in transportation costs and in the most important thing, fuel, which emits harmful substances into the atmosphere, which is simply less, but there is still a long way to go to the ideal. Secondly, as mentioned earlier, it's a versatile material, which has such attributes as impact and heat resistance, long service life. Paper products require wood and energy in large quantities, and production waste is very difficult to dispose of. In addition, you can make windows out of paper. Glass is very easy to break, sometimes before it reaches its destination. There are a lot of news stories on the web about whole cases of drink bottles being broken. As for metal, it's simply much more expensive. Plastic is devoid of all these disadvantages. Thirdly, plastic is much more economical to make, and it saves environmental resources, both water and electricity. Glass, paper and metal, for example, require a lot of material resources, as well as natural resources, and as a result they have a lot of waste, which is difficult to remove. Making plastic reduces the negative impact on the environment. In addition, plastic has the resistance to corrosion that metals have, to the impact that glass suffers from, and to high temperatures that beat paper. It's durable, and accordingly, it takes far fewer resources to maintain. It requires less frequent replacement, which saves resources, and it also reduces the negative impact on the environment. Plastic is insidious and ambiguous. It's everywhere. in stores, on the street, and at home. And it's justified. Plastics are insanely convenient, practical, and also profitable. It's a unique material, which was discovered only recently, and it has already managed to become so popular and widely used that the entire population of the earth has formed an addiction, a plastic addiction. At the same time, we can see plastic bottles and disposable dishes on the shores of the oceans and the streets of our cities. But is plastic to blame? That's right, no. Man and his activities are entirely to blame. In many countries, including Kazakhstan, much of the garbage isn't sorted and recycled, remaining to decompose in landfills and poisoning the environment. There is no difference whether it's disposable or usable plastic, high quality or not. All garbage will share the same fate. We need to change our attitude to garbage, but first we need to change ourselves. Each of us can influence the fate of nature by reducing the amount of waste to a minimum, for example, by using reusable objects, refraining from packaging of goods, and disposable tableware in stores and restaurants. On the part of the state, it's necessary to introduce and support waste sorting and recycling systems, and only then can we change everything around us. Only together can we save our Earth, our green planet.